Hi, this is Tom from Beautiful Guitars. Today we'll be talking about tips when you are buying your guitar, whether a first one mostly, like myself, for the past 4 years, learning how to buy a new guitar, and maybe your second or subsequent guitars that you buy. Some of these tips might assist you. The first things that you must decide what type of guitar you want, and today we'll be talking about electric guitars. Maybe you like Fender Strats, like this one, Fender Stratocaster, or this type of shape. Because you'll be influenced by maybe the sounds that you want to produce when you play, or sometimes maybe you're influenced by your idol that you like to sound like. So those are some of the things that might influence you. Or maybe you just like the sound of the guitar or the shape, so those is up to you. So the guitar that you buy, it might be something that will inspire you. When you just see the guitar, you want to, the way it looks, and then the way it feels when you put it down, the way it feels on your hands, and also the way it sounds when you play. And also when you put it up on amplifier, the sound that you want. And also you might want a sound that might be able to cut through the mix when you record or when you play with your band. And also pedals that you might want to use if it will enhance your sound and so on. So there are so many variables that you need to consider yourself. But in the end, it must be a guitar that inspires you, the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it sounds, and much more. So that's very important. And also, if you are not familiar with guitar, what is a good guitar, what is not so good guitar. If you've got a relative or a friend that is conversant with guitars, that is very important, that that person can accompany you to the guitar shop, so that that person can be able to give you pointers which is a good guitar, which is not a good guitar, and so on and so on. So that's very important. And the next thing, for you to get a good price on the guitar that you are buying. So these days it's much easier when you go to a guitar shop. You can easily Google on your internet and find out. You can even find out some of the shops near you that might be selling the similar guitar and the pricing that you are having, so you can check so that you get a better price for the guitar that you're buying. Some of the shops commonly here in South Africa, and also when I went to the United States, you'll find that they will have a price tag there. It's labeled recommended retail price. Then what it means often is that that's the price that the manufacturer has recommended to the shop. But often that price you can negotiate to get a price. Some of the shops here in South Africa, when you go in, they will have two prices actually. You find they say recommended retail price. It's so much, but they are selling this guitar at this price, which is a lesser price. But often it can happen that when you negotiate, whoever is your salesperson that is helping you, that they often say, oh, let me go and check if I can do you a better price. Then they click on the computer there, then they say, oh, I can do you better price than that one, and they give you. So it's very important for you to know that the price that is on the guitar, often you can negotiate it to come down, which is very important. So maybe you like the Strat type of shape. So that would be, and you'll find that Fender, for example, will have various price points that are available from Squire to the Performer series, Player series, and then the American Pro series, then the Custom Shop. So they will have various price points, and many guitar manufacturer will have the same way. You've got various price points. The next thing will be whether you want to buy a brand new guitar or you want to buy a used guitar. So often used guitar, and most of the prices are often around about half or even less, depending on the demand of the guitar and also the appearance. In other words, whether that guitar is still in excellent quality. Otherwise, it has not been worn terribly. So it can vary with the price. But in general, the used guitar prices are often about half or less. Some can be slightly higher depending on the demand, and also the demand, like Gibson and Fender. Some of the guitars, especially if they are limited edition guitars, can still be quite pricey, even if they are second-hand guitars. So always have to consider that with you when you're doing the shopping. The other thing you must consider is that often the shops have got their guitar sales that they might have during the year. So maybe they're clearing stock for new stock coming through, or they're clearing stocks that have been in the shop for a long time, maybe a year or 2 years or whatever. Then they want to clear, because when they see this stock is not moving, therefore they want to clear, and often they can clear them at very good prices, so-called clearance sale, and so on. So it's very important. And often you'll see every year in November they've got so-called Black Friday. So often you can find big deals on your guitars as well. So that's very important for you. So maybe you like the Strat shape of the guitar, but so many sounds. So the Strat has got quite classic sound that is found in many records that have been recorded. Or maybe you like the Telecaster shape. For me, it took me a while to like the shape, and mostly I didn't like the Telecaster, that often they are quite heavy. But this one is poplar wood, is very light, which is good, and also a telly like a Strat with a single coil. It cuts very well through the mix, and also telly very reliable in terms of tuning stability, and also if it falls down, it's very unlikely to easily break. So it's quite something to consider if you like Telecaster shape and sound that it has. Some may like Les Paul. Maybe your hero is a Les Paul person playing. Then maybe you like Les Paul. So the good thing, like I said earlier, you've got various price points. Like with a Gibson Les Paul, they start with a studio, with a tribute series, which are often quite reasonably priced. Then they've got studio track. Then they've got your classic and standard. And then they've got the custom shop and Murphy Lab time. So we've got various price points that are available. However, like the Strat, the Telly, as well as the Les Paul, you've got alternatives. You've got other guitar manufacturers that are manufacturing copies of these guitars. And the guitars that are being made these days by various manufacturers often referred to as really very good quality. So also alternatives can also be very good alternatives if maybe the original is still pricey for you, or maybe you prefer the changes that different manufacturer making a copy has made, either with colors or wood or the way they look or the weight or the sound or the options that may have in terms of the controls and so on. So there are many of those things that one can consider if you are going to consider maybe alternatives to your sound. So Les Paul is a rock machine that is very popular playing rock music sound. Then, so those are really the classic guitars. Then after that you can have so-called super strats, or their alternatives to say Fender. Like this one is an Ibanez series guitar, a super strat, which were quite popular very much in the 80s when rock was at its peak. It's a super strat, and the first you can see how thin it is. The S series, S standing for saber or thin, very thin, and also very thin neck, and for very fast playing for rock, metal, and hard rock type of thing. So there are a lot of alternatives, and these humbuck, dirty finger humbuckers here for nice rock music type of sound, but obviously it can be versatile depending on the amp you are using, your pedals that you might use, and so on and so on. So that is one with humbuckers. So this is another super strat. This is Godin. So Godin is a Canadian guitar manufacturer. They manufacture excellent quality guitars at very affordable price, and this is their take on a Strat, a super Strat with an HSS configuration, which is very versatile. You can also split that bridge humbucker to get a single coil, and it's quite, it looks incredible. It feels incredible, and it plays incredible very well, and it comes in with incredible deluxe gig bag, second to very few even bigger manufacturer like Gibson, Fender, or PRS. So these days you've got very a lot of alternatives that are available to you. So the next thing when you have to look at your guitar is first thing I like is that when the guitar is tuned is to check how resonant it is. Yeah, because often John Sayre say guitars, he says if the guitar is very resonant and that resonance is very melodic, so it's when you put in on a amplifier, just amplifying what is there already. So if you've got something very good sounding already, you're gonna get a good sound from that guitar. So it's very important thing to check how resonance and how that resonance comes through. Like this is a very resonant electric guitar. The resonance is very melodic, so it sounds when you put in an amplifier, it's gonna amplify that. It's gonna have a very good guitar tune, which is quite important for you. Then obviously the next thing you're gonna check, what I check is your frets, that like here the frets are quite well puffed up and you cannot feel the frets, so that when you move down your fretboard is very comfortable. Because some of the cheaper models, one of the things that they don't pay attention is your frets, that you find those frets are very sharp, and some of them can actually, you can see that they're really irritating. They can, if you move fast, they can even got soft hands, can even have a cut in your hands. That's how bad they can be. And also, if there's been change in weather since the guitar has been shipped, some of the woods, especially the cheap woods, can shrunk even more, and those frets can even sprout more, and then you will have to consider if you're going to do fret work in that guitar or not, which is quite a job to do for the luthier. So if some of the guitar, it may not be worthwhile to do that. Then the next thing is to check that all your strings don't have any buzzes as you go throughout the fretboard on each string, that there's no buzz, because often buzz mean the neck might be twisted, that you may need to adjust your truss rod so that the neck is now straight, so that then you don't have buzzes on your strings. And then the next thing for you to check as well is that often the guitar, they just hang up in the guitar shop, sometimes for a very long time, and you find that the strings, they gather dust over that period of time, and therefore when you play they are quite dull, so the guitar has got dull sound, and it does sound quite badly. But sometimes just getting new strings on the guitar, you might find it sounds a very different guitar. And the next thing is for you is a guitar setup, that the manufacturers are supposed to set up the guitar once the guitar has been finished being made. Their checklist is about checking that the guitar is well made, from the wood, the painting, your electronics that they are working, your tuning pegs, your nut, that everything is in good condition, including the setup. but often most of the guitars strung the guitar shops, you find that the action is often very high, either because they are not being set or set up well. Some of the guitar manufacturers, they say this leave the action higher so that they don't damage the frets or the pickups. For that reason, they say they do that. Whether that is true or not, not so sure. Because often for that reason, you see some of the guitar manufacturers, they'll have a paper that they put between the strings and the fretboard to protect the fretboard. So once you buy your guitar, it's always a good idea to ask your guitar shop to do a setup. But however, some of the entry-level guitars, the shop may not be willing to do the changing of the strings and the setup, because that might cost them maybe $80, $100 to do the setup and put new strings. And some of the entry level guitars, that might just take off their profit margin. For that reason, they may not be willing to do. But if it's not the case, you can ask your local luthier to do a string change if you cannot do it for yourself, and setup that might cost you around $50 or so, depending on your luthier. But it's really worthwhile because it improves the way the guitar sound. You might find that the guitar sounds like an almost completely different guitar than you had before, when maybe you were just on the fence whether you like a guitar, but once you get new strings and a good setup, it sounds different, that you really love the guitar. And also it makes you playing the guitar much easier once you set up a good string action, the frets are well taken care of, and then everything has been put up according to your style of play, and so on and so on. Then you got a very good guitar for you to play and enjoy. Because like I said earlier, the idea for you to have your guitar is that you must like the way it looks, the way it feels when it's in your hands, and the way it sounds when you're playing it, whether unplugged or plugged on your amplifier. And also you must note, when you're getting your guitar, electric guitar, you'll have to connect it to your amp. So it's very important earlier on that when you buy your guitar, the quality of your amp is very important. So better have a better quality amp that you're going to connect to your guitar than your guitar itself. So if you've got a limited budget and you have to buy an amplifier and also a guitar, rather invest in getting a very good amplifier and maybe compromise at this moment on your guitar, because a good amplifier lifts up the guitar tone to a quite higher level. For that reason, sometimes when you go to a guitar shop, the reason I said earlier, you want to test the guitar unplugged first and so on, because sometimes the salesperson who's selling you, he can take a very crappy guitar and put up a high-end amplifier. It will sound incredible. But when you go home and you plug it to your lower quality amplifier, you find no, it doesn't sound like how it sounded in the guitar shop. So it's very important to know that A good quality amplifier will lift up a low quality guitar, and a low quality amplifier will drop down the quality of a very good quality guitar. So it's very important that when you have to invest in your guitar and amp, try by all means to invest in a better quality amplifier, because it's going to lift up your guitar tone much better than the other way around. And maybe in the future you can get a better quality guitar that will then obviously with a better amp, then your guitar tone will be even much better. So don't forget to like and comment on this video and subscribe to Beautiful Guitars channel, and also tell us what is your tips on buying a new guitar, and also what is your favorite guitar shape or make. Is it a Stratocaster or a Strat shaped guitars? Is a Tele shaped guitar, or is it Les Paul shaped guitar? Is it a Super Strat or any other guitar like a semi-hollow or a hollow guitars, or a Flying V shaped guitars, or a Firebird type of guitar, and so on and so on. So let's hear in the comment what is your favorite. And also don't forget, we're on our 4th guitar giveaway, which is a Garaya semi-hollow guitar. And for you to qualify for the guitar giveaway, you have to subscribe to Beautiful Guitars channel, like and comment on all our videos that we have uploaded so far, and subsequent ones that will be uploading weekly before the guitar giveaway is announced at the end of September this year, this month. Cheers.